I'm Bill Corcoran Jr., and I'm your host for the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Joe Foley, co-founder of Punch Pedal House. What's Up podcast episode 54 of the On the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door studio. Welcome to the podcast, Joe. How are you?
Good. I just realized Studio 54. This is a great number.
Oh, yeah? Why? What's the significance?
Studio 54.
Is that like...
The Studio 54, like the
Studio...
The Studio 54,
well,
the New York City. This is awesome. All right, this is great.
This is meant to be.
Yes, it is. Tom Cruise bartending, John Travolta.
This is like really, really meant to be.
A lot of David Bowie and drugs.
Yeah.
Kidding.
So you're back here in the hometown. Yeah. We're in Wilkes-Barre, but you're from Hanover. I'm from Hanover, and you and I know each other from way back when. So how's it feel to be back home for a little bit visiting?
It's great. COVID definitely hit this in a different way. It's very desolate, but I think that's because of COVID. Things have changed. I keep talking to my wife. We just drove down from New York, and we were at our house up north, and then came down to you guys and see family and stuff. And it's different. It's the same thing that's going on since we're talking about COVID and stuff. It's like it's the same thing in New York. It's dead. It is what it is. But there's still that vibe here. It was great growing up, and it's a great foundation. But it took a lot for me to I needed to learn my own path, and this was great for my family and for me growing up. But it's not great for me to stay. Just the way my mentality is, and I think that's that is a divulgence of who I became from here, and my attributes as a person. But it's great, I wish I got to see more people. I really wish it wasn't cold. I wish there was some type of sport going on right now that you could, like if it was track or football. But it is, this is what happened. We don't, the swim teams and all that stuff, you can't. So it's, I would love to be able to go to Hanover as one of their meets or basketball games or something, and just kind of see what's going on. And I see that, again, the Valley's sports are again they're on the map, and it's never going to change. I think those core values of athletics, specifically here, have always been here. I think are never going to leave, which is great. So my daughter, if I ever bring her back, you want to go see what sports are like, this is what her sports are like.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background. Obviously you went to Hanover area. Afterwards, you went to Pitt to play football and/or track, if I'm right, and take it from there.
Yeah. So in high school, I was a 3-sport athlete and did really well. Multiple awards: All-American and something in track, All-American in football, All-State in football, All-State in diving. Really cool things, and I had a great opportunity to leave. I always wanted to leave. But my path wasn't just I need to leave Wilkes-Barre. It was, I want to leave to go play a sport. It was either Olympics or it was played in NFL. I had a lot of opportunities all over the country. And I went to Pitt. And going to Pitt, I saw a better opportunity there to do the dual sports. They had a great coach and on both levels, and I had an opportunity to play. Unfortunately, multiple things happened at once. I was kind of not mentally prepared at 17 years old to be on my own at a D1 school. And also my back kind of just finally gave out on me. And, that's, as an athlete, getting to that level, you're one step away. That was very detrimental mentally. Sorry to go into that, but it was a very big learning experience. Being at Pitt taught me so much for my life, even though it was for 1 year.
What did you learn?
So one of the biggest things is I learned that no matter how good you are, it does not matter. Someone is better and someone's working harder. It's the number one rule. I don't care if you're LeBron James or Tom Brady. There is always going to be someone working harder, and there's going to be someone always better. And if you take one step back, they're going to surpass you. And listen, I hate to bring up the Super Bowl, but you've seen that with Mahomes and Tom Brady. Tom's I'm not done. But it's not like Mahomes did anything bad. His receivers didn't catch, and there was a lot of penalties. There's a lot of things. He's still a great quarterback, and he probably is going to be one of the best. Tom is probably the best winning quarterback, but he's like the full package. And the same thing with LeBron. Like, he's been to 10 NBA finals and he's only won 4. Like these are attributes. Someone's always working harder. Someone's always going to be there to take it from you. And that was a big thing. The next thing was that I needed a mentor. And that took me a while to realize till later in life. I should have listened to my coaches then when they put you with somebody, and took that along in life. And
you didn't do that, or you just?
I didn't. I like I said, I wasn't mentally prepared to go to Pitt. I think I was too immature, naive. That was a big thing, and I was just like a recluse. I think nothing really would have taught me to slow down, and other priorities came into place. Unfortunately, it was women and booze. Like, it really was, versus sports. And when I found out I got hurt, I just went off the deep end kind of thing. And essentially just kind of lost myself and, losing all that opportunity to go on a football field, going on track, where that was my mental escape. I lost that. And when you're on the team at football or track, they set you up with a senior or an upperclassman. In either, I was a pole vaulter and a decathlon and a track team. I had one person on the pole vaulting squad and another person that was a jumper for the decathlons that were my mentors. And I don't keep in touch with them now, but they were. And the same thing with the football. Like, there was a receiver that was he was in his master program, but he was like on the team. And I never was like, no, it's my way. Like, I'm going to play like you're not even, like, it was the attitude. I never knew how to lose it. And it took me a while. Like, it really did. And it's always been a chip on my shoulder till I was like 23, 24, and those are the two things that I always look back on, was priorities and am I mature enough to be able to handle this right this second? And the mentor, those are very big things that built into something now that I'm always striving to find, but eventually, I learned my path. And so taking those from Pitt, besides being on a team, I could say the same BS that everybody says. Be on a team, learn how to be. No, I was on a team since I was 5 years old. Like, I learned about that. Having a mentor has been hugely beneficial in a lot of things. I have more mentors now than I did before, and I've set my priorities straight mentally. And that is actually what has been more beneficial from my experience from Pitt on, because each time has been an up and down. It's been up mainly, but like a lot of crashes, we'll say, especially like the stock market. So it's been an interesting path from Pitt, and from Pitt, it's that's just a blip on the radar compared to what I did after that and before that. But D1 was huge. It was a very big honor. But at the same time, I kind of wish someone grabbed me in high school and was like, yo, you need to take 1 year, like at Junico College, or, like Wyoming Serenity is a junior college, or any football school or track school that's a junior college, because you need to get your like head straight. Not in the fact that I was psycho, but just like you were just like so aggressive, like, you want it and you don't realize the talent you have and you're throwing it away. Unfortunately, things happen, but now I know what those are and how to somewhat control those for the future. So it's been an interesting process till now. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you do after Pitt? You transferred to?
So I went to deep, dark place. We were really going to like a negative area first. All right. So I got hurt at Pitt in 2004, and I just went home. And my coach was like, "You need to have surgery. Like, we know you need to have surgery." And luckily, I was at UPMC. Had the surgery. I was one of the first people to get it. I actually just had it in October again, but they're like, "You're not going to be able to play sports again." Like, and that just threw me. For like 3-4 years of my life, I just went off on a roller coaster ride. I traveled Europe. I traveled and just basically was just like a bartender, waiter, took photos, like model kind of thing, just literally living out of a suitcase, like for a few years, until I came back to New York and I was like, all right, I'm ready to like pull my shit together essentially. And I did. I pulled my shit together. I got an internship at a law firm. And that law firm in New York State, you become a real estate broker if you're a lawyer. I helped her with a client and I sold a $10 million home. I saw the check at the closing and I was like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, $300,000. Like, what? Yeah. Like, how? She's like, just get your broker's license. I'm like, I want that though. And so I got my broker's license. I was actually one of the top real estate brokers in New York City at the time during the crash of 2008. I made Forbes. I was runner up for Forbes list 30 under 30, which is such a shame. I was top 1% in the nation. I had top 100 for the Wall Street Journal, and I did, I think, 125 million in sales.
Wow.
That paid for NYU. And then what's even crazier is I was taking out a hedge fund manager, and in New York City, when you do a co-op, when you purchase, you have to show more financials, like legitimate last 2 years, what's your bank accounts. And I was seeing these guys' financials and I was like, I want to do what he's doing. And he was an investment manager at a hedge fund. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to make that type of money. And so I had enough money and went to NYU. I didn't have the SAT score to go to NYU. Because I had to get the bare minimum for Pitt. I'll just say thank you, Mr. Piscantini. Just being honest, I did a backflip in his office when I got accepted to Pitt. I mean, that's a whole nother topic that we don't have to do in air. But anyway, I got in and I actually went to Nick Madonna, who's the track coach, and I like looked up. I was like, I could beat all those records. He's like, what? He's like, I'm like, yeah, like I could do the pole vault, I could do the long jump, I could do 200. Yeah, I could break those. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah. And he's like, who are you? And he Googled me and then went to the pit. He's like, oh my God. He's like, we just got to get through NCAA, because my eligibility surpassed. So once you start at D1, specifically D1, if you are a red shirt or whatever, your first year, which I was, the time clock starts then. You get one red shirt and then a medical red shirt. And then it's 4 to 5 years, depending on, I guess, location now. But in D3 or D2, you could be like 1 year here and you could be 90 years old and like do 4 years. Like, it doesn't matter. But they surpassed it. Like, he got hurt, you're redshirted, we understand.
And
cool.
was this at NYU?
This was at NYU.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I got on the NYU team. I won UAAs. I was a shit show. I was not in great health. I was at the time smoking. I was drinking a lot. Like, it was just your typical, like, 23-year-old party animal with way too much money just in New York City. And it was a blast, by the way. But I went to NYU, got in, and I graduated actually top 3 in my class in economics, cum laude, focusing on economics and real estate. I got a job in investment banking, a little small shop on Wall Street, literally on Wall Street, not like, it was in Wall Street, but it was just
literally on the street.
On the street, small shop. And I got recruited to go work for this small hedge fund, Eagle Bay Capital. JC Price was a great mentor. He was my first kind of mentor in finance and kind of taught me a lot of ways. We never really kept in touch because his personal things with his family, he kind of got separated and went to West Coast, but he taught me a lot. And from there, I was raising capital and doing analytics for him. And I got into a family office. And then next thing you know, I was, doing real big real estate deals and really big IPOs. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And doing really well. And I was mentally happy. I thought I was, at least. Let's just say that way. I had the apartment. I had the girlfriend. I had, the money. I was like, oh my God, it might have took me a long way, but I figured it out. But reality was that was all fluff, and
what changed?
Me and my ex divorce, and I got everything taken away. I lost everything, and sad, but whatever. I learned from it, and essentially, I went back to school for my master's in real estate development at Columbia and did a lot of classes at the MBA for Columbia Business School. And learn my way, and then start my own consulting firm. And I thought I was happy, I was making money, and then I wasn't happy. Like I just was like, I have this, but I'm not happy. Like that's just what it became. I was just like, so I started doing triathlons, and I qualified for USA championships, and I was like, all right, this is the way I want to go. Like I'm going to do triathlons. Did an Ironman, and I was like, all right, I'm not the best. What is my purpose? And I just wasn't happy. But everything that kept pushing me back was sports. Like I would be like, I need to go run. I need to go swim. I need to go bike. I need to go run. I need to go swim. I need to go bike. I was never like, hey, I need to go figure out like the financial markets to go make some rich kid more rich. Like I wasn't anywhere near to what these were, but this is when everything changed, was the day that I met with my professor, Manish Srivastava. And to this day, he's like, you need to go away. Like in a nice way. He's like, you need to go away. And I'm like, all right, where? Like, and he's like, I don't know. Like, you just need to take a break. Like, he's like, I've known you for a while now. And he's like, I know your story before. And he's like, you just haven't stopped. He's like, I'd never seen anybody just not stop. He's like, when's the last time you take a vacation for yourself? And I was like, I went to Paris. He's like, no, but you worked in Paris. He's like, well, when's the last time you like did anything for yourself? Like rock climbing, snowboarding. I'm like, I was like 22, 23. He's like, you're 28 years old and you're telling me you haven't taken a vacation or a party. He's like, you're taking life this way too serious. And so I left and I actually went to Asia. So I got a place in Hong Kong, was traveling from Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Guangzhou, and Singapore, and just meeting with clients and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was doing triathlons. And I met a big company, a big family that literally built Singapore. What Singapore is now is like theirs. Like they built all the land. Like the land did not exist. It's much like how Dubai was. And they're like talking about stadiums. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I want to do this. And so I came back, talked to Manish, and I don't know if I said who he was, but he was the up for to being the dean for the NYU's Master's in Real Estate Development. He was my professor at Columbia, and he's like now at MIT as a professor. Very smart guy, just put it that way. And I sat down and I was like, I'm going to become a spin instructor. He's like, what? I was like, I'm going to become a soul cycle instructor. He's like, what? I was like, I want to be back in fitness. And I went to the class and I was like, I saw how inspiring it was. And I also got my ass handed to me, so I never felt that in a long time. And I loved the pure exhaustion. And so I went through their program, and I did really well.
So you became an instructor?
I went through their program. I taught 3 classes, and I had an option. And their option was I was off-brand. Just off-brand.
Mr. Off-brand.
Mr. Off-brand.
Why?
I wasn't this loving, caring, heartfelt person. As the one person said, it's not a Joey's soul cycle class. It's just a soul cycle class. And I was just like, I don't understand. What do you mean? He's like, you're kind of an asshole. He's like, you're not like, you're doing what we're telling you to, but we know the second you go out there, you're not going to listen to us. And I was like, okay, I'm like, all right. And so my options were like either stay in New York or leave to a different soul cycle city, because they didn't have a branding, because they were about to IPO. Like, I believe they were trying to IPO, and they're like, this is our brand. Like, this is who we are. You have to stay in this box. They knew I was not going to stay in that box. I knew I was not going to stay in that box. Like it was very obvious I was not going to stay in that box. And honestly, like it was probably the best thing that ever happened.
Why?
Their sports came back. I was like, they're wrong. Like because I want to kiss his ass. That was the other thing. They're the biggest brand. The founders I believe each made $190 million each. It was $1 billion brand owned by Equinox. They were about to IPO for several $1 billion. It was New York City's brand. They were expanding everywhere. Like I could have went anywhere I wanted to with them, but I'm a New Yorker now, and I left. And before that, I didn't bring it up. It was like Peloton and Flywheel. Flywheel told me I was too much of a cyclist, which they're by the way, they're bankrupt. They literally filed for bankruptcy. They don't exist anymore. Peloton is Peloton now, who everybody knows. But I was a liability. they just said I wasn't a right fit in the sense of that's not who they wanted right now. They never said no to me directly. They just right this second, this doesn't work. They probably would have taken me right now, like specifically. Soul was very direct. Like I was off brand. And why those three things were so important was it was like kind of like the match, the stack that broke the camel's back, or the match that lit the haystack, however they say it, because it lit a fire into me that was like, oh, I'm back. Like that was what I needed. Like sports came back. Like I'm like, you don't even get it.
Yeah, you mentioned chip on your shoulder earlier, I think, when you were talking about sports in college. So it's kind of the same thing.
It came back and I was like, oh, competition. This is New York City. Like I don't give a fuck. Like you're challenging me. You're challenging a person that has run businesses. You're challenging a person that knows how to make money. You're challenging a person right this second that you're completely underestimating. Completely. Just because I won't kiss your ass. Cool. We got that. So I went to my buddy I went to Columbia with, actually owned another cycling studio, which was like, okay, nothing amazing. And I do know the truth. I can't prove it, but I do know that they were like in financial hardship as far as a business. Not him, but the business was not doing well. When I came in, they used to have like, before that, they had like 3-4 people in class. When I came, they had 100-person wait lists within 3 to 4 weeks. And the reason being was just the way I was as a person. And we're going to go into this, I think, in marketing purposes and how building a business. But essentially, this is how like my brand actually came out. It was a great little incubator. It gave me the drive and knew how good I was, because it was like, I'm like, oh, I'm so good. Like but the thing is, it wasn't my company. That was the problem. And my wife and I were talking on the way here. I'm like, one of the biggest questions a lot of people have ever asked me is like, why be an entrepreneur? Or like, so what do you do to like, what do you think it takes to become an entrepreneur? Learn how to be broke. Learn how to be broke, because like that's what you're going to be for the next 4 to 5 years. It's never, everyone sees the flashy awards, they see the money, they see the house, they see the car, they see the vacations. They don't see like you like sleeping on a concrete floor, crying, going, how is this supposed to work? Like, how am I supposed to like live like this? Like, how do I have a social life? We'll go into that, like how we're building my business. But right then and there at this company in New York, I was like, I'm done with this place. And I was like, I got the greatest business idea. And the business idea was like, I'm like good at this. Like, I'm like really good. I was like, I like the Peloton idea. I like this whole idea. Like, well, like they're doing it wrong. That's all I kept thinking. I'm like, there's something wrong about it. And I was like, why can't I be like a DJ or like a rock star in the sense of the words of like as a spin instructor, but like a motivational speaker, where I would like sell 200, 300 bikes in a stadium and have class through each different city. And I actually had the whole plan set up. I got a U-Haul ready. Like I was going to buy a U-Haul. I'm just using the term U-Haul, but like a box truck. And I was going to go buy these bikes. And so how this all got diverted was these fucking bikes, by the way. And to this day, if it wasn't for these bikes, I would have probably not have my daughter, and I probably would not have met my wife. I'm not even joking. This is how my wife and I met. This is how everything. This is how you know that no matter what, don't ever give up on yourself. Like, this is super important to understand. Like, but you have to know that you're good at something. Like, don't be like, I want to be the best guitarist in the world and you suck at a guitar. Like, you can't play, chopsticks or Mary Had a Lemon Lamb or anything. Like, you're not going to be on a stage. Like, you have to understand that if you're good, you're going to be good. Don't be like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No. So I think that's a bad analogy, but so I went and I found these bikes. There was a company, IMAX, the movie theater, right?
Yep.
All right. So IMAX had a spin studio called IMAX Shift in Brooklyn, in Dumbo. And their whole thing was an IMAX theater. It was set up as a movie theater, but instead of seats, they had bikes and they had like a screen. And the concept mentally, you think would be great, but there was a terrible setup because people got nauseous. It was crazy. The Tron, the movie Tron. Yep. So imagine going on Tron and they had like a thing like that and you'd be like pedaling and then it would just spin and you're like, it would do those. And you have people people that I know that worked for us for marketing purposes were like, oh, we loved it. And then other people like, that place was, oh my God, there's people that vomited in class. Like, I'm like, that's absurd. So I went, and this company was, IMAX was like, we're losing way too much money. We never thought we were going to make money. We thought we were going to franchise it out. And so I went there to go buy the bikes for pennies on the dollar. I'm not even joking. Like, I won't say I can say the price for 25 grand. I went in, all right? And this is how I started my business. Went in, I put the offer on the bikes. Sorry, let me pull that back. All right, for 20 grand. I bought I think it was 60 or 70 bikes, which is honestly pretty cheap. It's like roughly, it came out to like $400 to $500 a bike. And they countered me with hey, do you want the whole place for 25 grand? The whole fucking place. I'm talking a sound system, lockers, built out showers, weights, name it. The what is it called? The floor buffers, the extra floor buffers, extra seats, extra handlebars, toilet paper, shoes. I was like this.
For another 5,000.
For an extra 5,000, I was like, but microphone headsets were which by the way, just so you know, they cost $500 a pop. All right, the setup, including the stack with the whole thing. They're just I'm like, yeah.
What's the catch?
What's the catch? And they're like, no, you take the space too. I'm like, all right, cool. And this is the rent, and the rent was dirt cheap. And I'm like, why? And I found out why. They're just listen, we lost our money, but we're stuck with this lease, but at least we could get something out of it. You know what I mean? It was just a wash for them. But we don't know what this landlord is going to make us get rid of this, but they're going to take our security if we don't get rid of it. So it worked out in their benefit just as much as mine. And next thing you know, I didn't go on tour. I had my own studio. It was wow. And I should no matter what in business and retail, no matter how much you know about statistics in real estate, it doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. Because all the statistics in that location work perfectly in my benefit. Perfect. I was like, this is great, blah, blah, blah. Second I opened, it was crickets. It was crickets. The way where we were located, we were kind of under the bridge, and it was so loud. No one really wanted to walk over to that section. So it was crazy. So it took a while. It was a grind. When I say sleepless, I had a full staff. I had to let them all go. I did the front desk. I taught 40 classes a week. Oh, it was fucking terrible. I was in the best shape of my life, but I was also whittling away. I was so broke because I was paying rent. I put all my money. I was just shoveling because my payroll was absurd because I wanted the best instructors. I wanted the best staff. So I had a full staff, full schedule, and I was paying them top dollar. And I realized that I wasn't in, New York City. I was in Brooklyn, in Dumbo. Those people weren't coming to, they stayed there to sleep, take their kids. They work out in the city. That's why they go to SoulCycle. That's why they go to Flywheel. That's why they go to CYC. That's why they go to Equinox, because it's in the city. Even though there's an Equinox in Dumbo, that was not there. It took me a while to figure that out. And it took almost 6 to 7 months. And then, but 3 months into it, my wife came through the door. I'm not joking. Didn't know her at all. A friend of ours introduced, she was going to do the SoulCycle program. And we just met, and that's where it all changed. I finally had a different view on things. I had a different perspective. I could talk to somebody about, I let all my guards down. I was I'm broke. It's gone. All my money's gone. I have nothing left. I've been broke before. I'm real broke now. I'm about to move into the studio, which I ended up doing, which a lot of people don't know about. I lived in the back office. I had to. I had to think instead of paying $3,000 a month for rent on the Upper West Side, by the way, on the park for the convenience of Baloo, it took me 45 minutes to an hour to get to the studio. That's an absurd amount of time wasted just traveling. And I just really didn't think the logical step was when I have 8,000 square feet, I could find a place to live. And so I did, and I feel like I'm better for it. But I grind it, man. I taught 40 classes a week. She was so cool with it. And she had her apartment. She kept her apartment. She stayed with me when she stayed with me. Like, she's like, I don't care. I was like, this is this beautiful model. She travels the world. I'm like, wow, this is like not what I was expecting from somebody, period. I was very closed off. I'm very closed the way it is now. But like, the thing is, like, I don't have to be anymore because I knew how good we were. And I had to fail all through that time to realize the right thing right then and there. And this is like what they call the crux on a mountain. You ever rock climbing? They call it the crux, the piece that takes everything. And it's the hardest piece. And that was right then and there when I finally realized the degree, money, and their friends didn't matter. What mattered to you was you and how you perceived yourself. And once I like let down a lot of those layers, like those walls, and let someone in, which is my wife now, and now I have a beautiful daughter, my life changed. The very first, and we talked about actually in the drive here, and I was like, do you remember the Rhythm Ride graffiti that I put above the lockers? She's like, yeah, it was like from the 1990s like skateboarding movie. Like, what the fuck? You had this beautiful luxury place, and then all of a sudden you spray paint it Rhythm Ride. She's like, it was beautifully done, but ridiculous. And so we painted over black and got we spent money, and I got a logo put up. That wasn't the pinnacle point. Like, all of a sudden the door was like hundreds of people. It took a little bit of time, but we rebranded into Rhythm Ride, and which we were already, but like we had to get away from IMAX's old customers. I had to get away from that. I was at SoulCycle. I had to become who I was. I had to give it all. Like, you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You got to go 100%. And actually, you should probably go 150% and realize you're going to be broke. If you're not willing to go broke, is it really worth it? And the thing is that's the risk you got to take. Fortunately for me, I have multiple degrees I could fall back on. Any one of those positions I could probably go back to very simply in probably 6 to 8 months. But I always never wanted to, because this is that business. And so right when Rhythm Ride was happening, we just started rocking once January came, because that was August we opened.
What year was this?
This was 2017. So we opened up in August, met my wife in October, January 2018. It just was like, word got out because they wanted something different. I was so aggressive with social media, and I guess we could go social media, because she pushed it on me. I hate social media, hate it, but unfortunately we're here. But she pushed it on me. She's like, we need to film you doing this. We need to film you doing that. I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, you need to be shirtless. I'm like, no fucking way. And honestly, it worked. It really did. Not me being shirtless, but just like people seeing what we were. We were more than just spin. We were more than boxing. It was actually a workout that people could relate to, that you're going to see a mental and physical change, because our branding was, you are amazing. You are fucking amazing. Like, you're a place where all the insanity that's going in your head, you could let go in that studio. We had doctors, lawyers, partners, investment bankers. We had actors, line cooks. So you don't go shoot someone in the middle of the street or strangle them. You come to our studio so you could yell at me. I don't care if you told me to fuck off. You know how many times I've got told to fuck off? I lost count. But what happens? They give me a high five or hug me after class, because the purpose is that they could be who they want to be outside in the real world, but really not outside in the real world. Like, we like to say that we're really pretty and luxury on the outside, but really inside the studio, we're all fucked up. That's how we are as a person. And as we grew as a business, things happen,
And then so it was named Rhythm Ride, and that now it's Punch Pedal. What was the change?
So there wasn't a lawsuit. We got a letter in the mail from a random studio in California. And she trademarked Rhythm Ride. I was like, fuck. I was like, how much do you want? And then she said an absurd number, and I said, absolutely not. I'm like, you got to work with me. We've been around already now for a year. We won awards. You got to work with me. Tell me what you want. And so we actually found a loophole. We had boxing, we had rhythmic-based riding and boxing. So those two things actually allow us to actually stay Rhythm Ride. But I don't know. There was just like, my wife was like, we need a fresh start. Let's not have that on us. Let's just change the name. Like, we're moving studios anyway. Let's just keep that as an incubator. We never got rid of the company. Everybody knew that Rhythm Ride became Punch Pedal because boxing became very prevalent in our studio because it was this boot camp that was like more than just spinning. As my wife liked to say, it became a Coachella on a bike. Like lights, lasers, fog machine, the whole thing. Right before we left, I was about to get flamethrowers. Oh shit, flamethrowers, and she was very against that one because we already with the fog machine had the firemen there a couple times, and she's like, they're like, Joey has to stop doing that and call us before. I'm like, oh shit, but yeah. I know that's a long-winded thing. Yeah. I just wanted to get super positive as fast as possible, and I didn't know how to do it without skipping things.
So you guys rebranded to Punch Pedal, and then how did you guys build the business? How did you build the brand?
So that's a great question, and I think one of the biggest things we still have. I always feel that the brand is always building. We got to remember that. I think one of the misconceptions is like you build the brand and it's done. It's not. Every brand is continually to evolve. And so I took it as an opportunity as like, what is our foundation? And our people were our foundation, and like the photographer, what was his name? Darren. So Darren was here. He's like, oh, I got to practice before I get into your class. And I'm like, wait, I mean, you don't do that. Like, just come. Like, everybody is welcome. Like, take it at your own pace, but don't be that like, I need to work yourself. Just go for it. And that was like something that we had how do we tell that to someone in really quickly? And it was really hard and it took a while. So the term "you're the fucking greatest" became like a thing. And people were tagging us because once you leave the studio, it says that you're the fucking greatest. And I said it randomly. I forget when I said it in class. It became a thing. I didn't quote the phrase. Like, it's not me. I just said it. And I say shit when I'm speaking that's super like, with no filter. I never script write. I just say it because like, if I don't want to talk that day, I'm not going to talk. If I want to talk, I'm going to talk. Like, it's just how I feel is how I'm going to let go. And I think there is an honesty to that. So social media has actually helped us a lot, even though I hate it. When we started Punch Pedal, we actually never posted anything. We had 9 photos. Those 9 photos were our golden gloves and our golden shoes. And literally, it's just our wall. And it was those 9 photos. And people were frustrated with us. Why won't you post any photos? Why won't you do this? And I just kept saying, no, my staff, the whole thing. And it became a thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, why? They're like, you need to show. I'm like, just go to the website. Why do you need to know? Like, look at our tag photos. I don't look at tag photos. Well, you could look at our tag photos. You could see all the things. It became this thing that we didn't have to fake it. So, a lot of people use social media as advertisement. I took the conception of I wanted organic growth and true organic growth, not organic growth like buying through social media where we're going to put ads and that's organic growth, which it is. Once they come, it's organic. I meant true organic growth by word of mouth. And so what we did was we took the conception of $38 or $36 a class and did unlimited classes. We wanted you to come as much as you wanted. I wanted you to build this community. And what we did was if you brought a friend and they signed up for that monthly membership, you got a free month. You and that person got a free month. So like it became this like building up a community, right? But that community wasn't like a one-stop thing. You wanted them to get so addicted to it, in the right way. It needed to become an obsession. They wanted to better themselves. They needed to go forward. So the conception of social media and the conception of that kind of built us by itself. And then slowly, like advertisements from, journalists and stuff came out without us ever doing it. One of the good things that we had in social media or with, Nuke City is ClassPass and this other thing. And over time, even though it's discounted, that was self-marketing, but you got like you discounted your pricing so that people could come. So there's a positive and negative to it. So it was like we did it for like your first time, you come through that way, but after that you couldn't. That became a thing for us. But with social media, we slowly got people in, and I would invite, and it's like one of those, I would start inviting fitness influencers and like getting them in to take a post and give them a free class. So we did these like things that all the bigger brands were doing, but on a much smaller micro scale. And that took a while. It took an extremely long time. But that organic growth that we had became very sticky. Now think about this. You get hit with an ad, that's free trial, right? Okay, you're like, all right, cool, I'll try the free trial. Your first, if you have the app, you could actually do not pay, it's called. I just put an advertisement there. It's called Do Not Pay. You pay $1 a year. It'll give you a fake credit card number so you never get charged for a free trial.
Interesting.
It's literally called Do Not Pay. You pay $1 a year and it gives you a fake credit card number that you could put in and you can have the free trial so you don't have to forget to cancel.
I love it. This is the most valuable information I've heard all day.
and you never forget, so you don't have to call them like, hey, refund my money. Anyway, so that idea, besides 7 for, but you see an ad for like, for us, you see an ad for us now, and it's like, hey, you get 7 days free by coming through. It's not as sticky. You got an advertisement. You feel sold. Now imagine if your sister or your brother-in-law or your mom or dad or even your cousin or best friend told you like, yo, come to Punch Pedal with me. And you're like, all right, cool. You went with somebody. It's going to become much more stickier. All right. Unless it's like a relationship and it's a bad relationship and they break up and they pick which instructor they need to take and which one has on Mondays, which that actually has happened. The idea is that it becomes more sticky. It takes a longer time in the beginning, but in the longer run, you could establish yourself. And that's exactly what made us survive this pandemic. We have New York City specifically. There's nothing left. Like as far as fitness, they're all going bankrupt. It's like left and right. People are bankrupt. Shadowbox bankrupt. Flywheel bankrupt. New York Sports Club bankrupt. Or closing. Like there's a bunch that just closed. Or like it's not even bankruptcy. They're just like, I can't afford to do this. I need to make money. For us, we did a bunch of stuff to survive this. This is where the business mindset comes in, and me working in finance and going to Columbia. I was like, okay, we have assets. What are assets? Bikes. People need bikes. Why can't they put them in their apartments? Why can't we rent them to them? So I rented the bikes to them as fast. That's real estate. It's a legitimate they can rent. And I've rented every single one for like $200 a pop, and 50 bikes. That adds up. We got a bunch of bikes back, and people left the city, and kept going back and forth, and we did deals. But I started doing online classes like that, and we had a big following. We had very sticky clients because of the organic growth. The people that wanted to stay with us, yeah, they have Peloton bikes. Guess what? They do. Because whose class they're taking? Ours. Why? Because they know us. They believe our brand. They know it works. And so that organic growth will survive. Like that's what scares me the most about what's happening right now. I feel like the Peloton style that's happening right this second, all those bikes are going to be on eBay. Because they're going to be like, remember the NordicTrack thing with the skier? Yeah. They're just going to become clothes hangers. Once the city opens up, once places, I think I hate to say the term middle America, we'll just say suburbs. It's nicer. There's not a lot of studios like mine, in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, or anywhere around here, actually. You go to your fitness studio, it's not the same. They're like, you don't even understand what a studio experience is. Like when you're in a dark room, there's one light and it's like, almost like you're meditating with 50 people. And there's like sweat, heat, the rhythm of the beat. It's a different mentality. People are missing that in the city. And that's who we are. That's, we got lucky with the stickiness through the pandemic, but like I already hear it. People already want to come back. So we're going to lose a lot of clients because they left the city, but we didn't lose those clients because of our business. We lost it because of a pandemic. Brands like SoulCycle, brands like Shadowbox, brands like, I'm trying to think, Peloton. People are going to be quick to switch off because there's no interaction, real connection. That's that stickiness that's going to be gone. Great that your bike's $45 a month for the next 3 years, but you have a 6-month waiting list. SoulCycle, it's like, same price. You have to wait. There's a wait list of 6 months. The pandemic's going to be over. By the time they get the bike, they're going to be like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, they thought they were going to forget about it.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, shit. And so I think for us, it's always been about organic. It takes a long time. It always will take a long time. But once you have it and you have a good foundation, something that pays your bills, that you're okay with, like you're comfortable, then you can start taking risks that are a little bit better, like on advertisement. Some people aren't as fortunate as myself to be able to take that risk. They might have a family and they're going all in, and it's like they can't live on the floor of the gym. Like, you have a daughter, like, I can't do that now.
Yeah.
But like, I did that because I was young. I was 28 years old by myself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. Like, what's the worst? My ego? Yeah, that's what I did need to lose. Like, was it a humbling experience? Hell yes. Did I grind? Yes. And one of the things that you need to learn through the process is, you need to figure out how you're going to learn, how you're going to fix those mistakes. I'm terrible at customer service. Terrible. I'm a very, you weren't here in time, you're getting fucking charged. And like, everybody else would be like, all right, cool. Like, I understand that you were late because of XYZ. I'm like, no, you were late. That was my time. And the problem is that's like that's me way growing up here in Pennsylvania, actually, from my grandfather. It's like, this is the way it is. Like, oh shit, this is the way it is. And it's not black or white, or it's not gray. It's black or white. Like, you're on time or you're not on time. And like, I'm like, for instance, like, the expiration dates of classes, they expired 3 days ago. You didn't use them. Like, I'm sorry. Why didn't you read that? And I'm not good with that. So I have to learn to hire someone else to handle it. And that's, those are the types of things that you, like, as a business, if you don't fix those quick, they could burn you. Fortunately for us, we had the opportunity to do that because we were in Brooklyn. We weren't like really in the spotlight in New York City yet. But we started becoming in the spotlight. So like, some ads did come out about my customer service, and they like, the Trump spin, Nazi spin. Like, I got harassed because I didn't make fun of anybody. There was a Yelp review, and I replied. Just don't reply to your Yelp reviews. Just ignore them. Like, just don't say thank you. Don't say anything. Just ignore. Ignore. That is your best answer. The best advice from a mentor I got: don't look at your Google reviews. Don't look at your Yelp reviews. Just ignore them. If you look at them, you're going to take them personally, and they might actually ruin you mentally, and you're going to take it out on your current clients somehow. And no one ever told me that advice till after the fact. And if that was the best, like just get away from Yelp reviews. Like, there's nothing you could do about it. Because specifically in New York, you go to any place that's amazing, there are always bad reviews. Like, if you have all good reviews, it's weird. But you can't take them, like, you can't take them personally, because you don't know how that person was that day. You don't know what's going on with them. You don't know. We have a lot of elite Yelpers. I don't know if do you know what those are?
No.
Oh my God.
It's like a real thing.
It's actually
like an underground society?
Yeah. They actually have they have like convention shit.
Oh, wow.
And there's like elite Yelper 2016, 17, 18. And it has it like on their marked on their thing.
Oh man.
Oh my God. And then if you piss one of them off, they attack you. I'm not even joking. They had to stop my page because the one girl I said something to was an elite Yelper. And she had me, it was crazy.
Wow.
This happened in 2017. No big deal. Not now. But like, I learned, but you learn from those mistakes. That's probably the best advice I would say is learn quickly, like, learn as fast as you can to fix things that someone gives you, and always just be like, yes, I'll take that consideration. Don't ever give your opinion. Just take it into consideration and realize, how do I fix that? That's as far as customer service. But running a business, period, besides marketing, learn how to save money in the best way possible. And I think the mistake of me getting those bikes, it's not a mistake. The opportunity of me getting those bikes, having a built out studio, taught me that I could use that to my benefit down the long run, which we're doing right now. As we just announced the Union Square location.
I was gonna say, yeah. What's new at Punch Pedal right now?
So we life comes full circle. This is the moment. It's the moment. My wife and I have our daughter. We won Brooklyn's Gym of the Year the last 3 years. Financial Times called us the best spin and boxing studio in New York City. SoulCycle didn't even make the list. Flywheel didn't make the list. Peloton was number 9. We were 2. So I was like, yes. There's a CrossFit gym that beat us out as number one. But, you know, I'll take that one. It's Financial Times, right? And we were about to be acquired actually in March. And we were super excited. It was like, you know, 3 years of hard work. And to be acquired, like much of these brands, you know, SoulCycle is owned by Equinox. Flywheel is owned by a bunch of private equity, who I'm blanking on people. Rumble is invested from Equinox. Peloton's owned by a bunch of, it's actually a public company, you know. So all these companies have institutionals. It's literally 100% me and my wife. Like we have no investors.
It's like a true mom and pop.
Yeah, and we have no debt. We have none. Like it literally everything we've made, we put into it. And there's a reason why. That's why we're able to be like this right now. Because I knew something in the retail market was happening. Before we went to New York City, I knew there was a bubble going on. There was a vibe. And me being in real estate, that was very beneficial. You go down the city, I'm like, wow, it's empty for a while. Like down Broadway, that's weird. Like you don't see in Soho like
foot traffic?
No, just like the storefront empty that long.
Like an empty space.
Yeah, New York, you don't see that in New York City. Like you never see that. Like maybe for like a month, but like someone else is in there immediately. You know what I mean? Like because New York City, you know, like it's almost your guaranteed business. You know, and so we didn't go to the city. We opened up a pop up in downtown Brooklyn, and then COVID happened, and we transitioned, and obviously we made money. We made money to pay our bills. I'm not saying we made money. We paid our bills. We already had the savings to go into the city. So we were like kind of cash ready. And I looked at Nada and Nada looked at me and I was just like, we gotta look. Like people are closing left and right. There's gotta be something. And our broker hit me up with like 3 spots. And I was like, this is not good enough. I'm like, I was like, this is closer. It's not working, man. Like it's like, it was another fitness studio, and I'm just like, this is not it. It's just like, it's 6th Avenue and 18th. This is great, but like, this is not our vibe. In another studio, we went, and the studio that was going to purchase us, their space popped up, and I was like, I'll go see it, but I don't think it's going to work. I went to go see it again. I'm like, no, because when you see something empty, it's a lot easier to see versus stuff in it, and it didn't work. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then we were about to leave actually. No, it's a lie. It was September. We were preparing to leave to go see Nada's family in Serbia. And we got a call. They're like, yo, I got a surprise. Just meet me on 18th Street. And I'm like, all right, this is fucking weird. Like, why was surprise from your broker? It's like, all right, COVID's going on. Like, I have no idea. What's the surprise? Like, you got a bunch of cash for me? This would be great. Like, no, you never know. Like, you never know if you're going to meet like an investor or something like that. Because this guy was actually well connected with a lot of big companies. And he knew that we were willing to take an investor on or take somebody on at that time. Not now, but at that time. Because like COVID was happening. We're like, someone buy us. Like, you know, we're fucked. And we also didn't want to just walk away from the studio. We wanted to give it to somebody who would stay around and then like we would figure something else out. But again, this is when things come full circle in life. And so we go on 18th Street in Broadway and we walk in to SoulCycle, empty. And I'm just looked at Nada. Nada looked at me and I couldn't keep the smile. Like I couldn't hide it. Like I was fucked walking in that studio. Like they knew I was fucked because I was taking it. And my negotiation skills went out the window because emotion was there. They already knew. Like it was like, because
it was perfect. It was like perfect space.
But also the broker, I know I could have got it for cheaper. You know what I mean? Like they knew I wanted this. Like this was my space. And it's 4 years from them saying no to me to come back. But you remember SoulCycle, if you don't know, it's like, they have like, they're nationally known, actually worldwide known. They have studios all over the world actually. And they have an online platform with Equinox. But this studio and their Upper East Side studio, and I believe their NoHo studio are like their money makers. Like $4 to $6 million a year at one studio. And we walked in and I just looked at Nada. Nada looked at me. Freya was like walking around on the ground and I'm like, fuck. And we knew we were taking it. Like the brokers knew. And we actually started negotiations in September. And we finally came to an agreement in January.
Wow.
But that was my real estate mindset. Like I remembered I had to pull emotion out of it. And so we negotiated. It was hard. Like, I'm not joking. It was I'm talking pandemic clauses that were like, a kind of, if you're listening to me as like a restaurant or anybody, lease, any retail, this should be in your lease. Any going forward as a pandemic language or anything that stops you from business government standards should be based off occupancy in some way, shape, or form. And so I can't say the logistics. I could kind of give you an idea. So essentially, this is not it. But like, say our rent is $50,000 a month. If we're so my math doesn't get screwed up. Say it's $40,000 a month, and they're like only 25% capacity. I only have to pay $10,000. So like, if it's 50%, it's $20,000. And if we're zero, we have to cover other costs. And so that took a while, but like the pricing and all this stuff, it took a while for us to figure out. And again, it was like, we walk into the studio, and we have it now. We do. We on January 21st, which was like a day, I forget what it was, 21 something, some type of like, randomly we signed the lease like on that day, not knowing this was like a very like universal wise day. And that moment, changed our lives, that we were all in. And we did. We went all in. We gave it everything. Like, security deposit was absurd. Like, rent is absurd. Like, we're like, I looked at her, we're going to be broke. Like, either this is going to work or we're going to be broke. Like, we moved to Europe or Hanover. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, there's nothing wrong with Hanover. I'm just saying, like, at least we have options.
Yeah, somewhere to start over.
Yeah. But like, I'm like, at least if we walk away, we're not going to be like, what if? So one of the biggest things that I realized, full circle, I'm very humbled by this. I slept on a concrete floor. I lost a lot of friends. Not in the bad way, like, oh, F you. More like, you realize who your true friends are, who's going to be around. You learn how to let things go. You start learning how to lean yourself out. The right people will come around to you at the right time. Give you an example. A friend of mine, Damien, Riders Alley Media, haven't seen him in 15 years. I did his first lease in New York City for his garage, his motorcycle garage in New York City. Randomly follows me on Instagram. And I'm like, I need photos and stuff to kind of like prep up the new studio. He's like, yeah, man, I'll come down and help you out. And his rates are absurd. But like, he was going to bring his buddy, and then basically they set it up, and he hooked me up as a friend. Like hooked me up in a like a true, honest, like, this is $1 billion company way. And I'm like, but his answer was, I don't need you to pay me. I believe in you. And I was like, what? I haven't heard that ever. No one's ever said, I believe in you, Joey. Like in the way of like, I know this is going to work for you. I've been hearing more that I'm a hustler. I take risks. No matter what, I always figure it out. I grind all the time. And coming back to SoulCycle was not like a FU. It truly was not. And it was a very humbling experience because it was going to happen anyway. It was my way. And they're right. I was off brand. I was not their brand. I never fit their mold. And I'm never going to fit anybody's mold. And I'm myself. And I've never deviated from that. And coming and getting that specifically Union Square location, I'm doing the work myself. I sent you photos, and I do that's me. Like, I've always been a person that will figure it out. And if you're an entrepreneur, don't like get quotes from people, and like electricians and plumbing are the two things I won't fuck with. But like, I had a sound technician come in, and he like quoted me like a ridiculous price. And I was like, you're plugging in speakers. It can't be that difficult. So like YouTube and like going to B&H, which is a very big, well-known store, and talking to these guys, I figured it out. And, there's certain things that I'm going to need a sound tech eventually for like programming purposes. But like, you need to figure out where to spend money and where not to. And if you're not willing to like give it all, then it's not your passion. You're just looking for quick money. And that's the problem. I think what's wrong with society right now. People are like, give you an example, what was it? GameStop. Everybody rushed into Robinhood and attacked and da-da-da. And you're like, everybody, like, I'm a trader now. Like, no, you're not. Like, that's not actually what happens in society, or these random things. And you buying a bunch of stock at the beginning of the pandemic, it does not count either. These are formalities that have happened in certain stocks. Like, look at Warren Buffett. Look at these people have been doing it for 70 years. They've been crushing it. They're gonna have good years. They're not looking for 100% returns. They're looking for like 12 to 15% consistently. And they're talking about alpha. Alpha is how much risk you're taking, and that's this is why you pay a money manager. This is why you pay hedge funds to not take a lot of alpha. It's not, how much returns are taken. It's how much is your alpha. And if your alpha is high, they're not going to go with you because you're taking way too much risk. And so, and that's when I was in that industry, I knew about it. I know exactly what they do. I know how the rich stay rich. I know what the access they get. I know about a lot of things, but where I'm at right now is right where I'm supposed to be. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I have a business that's right where it's supposed to be right now. And it's taking 4 years to get there. It is taking a fucking worldwide pandemic to give me this opportunity, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. And if you're not going to like go 150%, don't. Like, there's no, like, my wife, she's like, oh, we want to take off in August for Europe, which I kind of agree with. We kind of she needs to spend some time in Europe. By the way, everyone, it's not like we're going on vacation. We're going to see her family. It's a big trip and we don't go that often. But we don't take trips. We don't go out with friends. If friends want to see us, come to our business. Support us that way. We'll have coffee with you afterwards. We'll grab lunch. Like, we don't have the time. Right now, we don't. Like, we're in our 30s, like, this is a very pinnacle point of our life to set the tone. I've already been through 2 major crashes, or actually 3. This is my 3rd. 2008, real estate crash. 2000, I think it was 14, was the oil crisis. That was when I was in the stock market. And then a pandemic. Like, it's really hard to it's hard to keep money when you keep getting crushed and bills get expensive. And, we try to lean off no debt. When it becomes business, you have to be willing to go 2 things. 1, not stress. You have to find out your outlet, whatever it is. Whether it's active meditation, whether it's punching a bag, or cycling, you need that thing. I don't care what. If video games, to turn off your mind. If it's watching, like my wife says, I like rom-coms, but like from like 2090s. I hate to say it, 10 Things I Hate About You and all that stuff, like, because I know the movie and I don't have to think, but it's there. And what's happening, it's turning off my brain because it's so stupid that it like calms me and it allows me to fall asleep. Now, I need to find those things to kind of balance out my like intensity with things. And so going back to Union Square specifically, my wife's like, what's the next step after this? I was like, could we open this place and fucking crush it before we're at the next place? But she goes, no, like, legitimately, like, what is the next step? Like, what would you do? And I'm like, I don't know, LA, Chicago, like Europe, like that's where I'm thinking, not like 50 fucking studios in New York City. And she just smiled because like everything that we've ever done has been a project. She's like, we finished the studio in Dumbo. She's like, what's the next project? I go, we just finished. Because that's just, you have to always want to keep going forward. If you're not that type of person who are looking for Mai Tais and Bermuda, I don't think being an entrepreneur is your style, man, because not you specifically, but it's probably not for you because that's a paycheck person. I want to be going to south of France, sitting on someone's yacht and been like, yo, like, this is awesome. I want different, like, I want more. Like, everything's obtainable, like DuPont, who are the other people? What's the other guy that has the junkyard up in Dunmore?
Oh,
I can't think of his name.
Is it the truck guy?
Yeah.
Bolus?
No.
Oh.
I can't think of his name. He has like the junkyard up there. Not Solomon.
Harry's?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Anyway, he's a guy. He used to bring in a lot of the junk, like trash and stuff, in from Jersey. I can't think of his name right now. It's on the top. It's up near DuPont and Dunmore. I cannot think of it. It's killing me. Anyway, you can be rich and still live a very good life, but you have to be willing to set the tone. So what I mean by that is that it takes a certain type of someone to take something from 0 to 1. Then it's a certain type of person from 0 to 10. And then it just takes a finance guy to go from 10 to 11. So now how do you get to 0 to 1? You have to be willing to risk it all. And not just like, I'm not risking my family. We have a safety net, meaning like, if worse comes to worse, we can move in with her family. You know what I mean? Like, and they have a great schooling system and healthcare and all that stuff. And if worst case scenario, I can move here, and, that's like worst case, like if we don't want to be in the US. And you need to know what you're willing to go. And as an entrepreneur, like you have to make sure that's a passion. Because if it's not, like because it is miserable. Like there are days that like my wife says the best thing is she's like, there have been days that there's been people told me to quit. Like you don't back surgery. I had back surgery in October. Like they're like, you should have quit now. Like take this. This is a great opportunity. No one's going to say anything that you closed shop. No one's going to say you failed. Pandemic, go start something new. But I didn't fail. My business didn't fail. I'm perfectly fine. I just had the surgery. Like you need that willingness to, like you need that drive to, I'll do whatever it fucking takes to make this survive. And not just survive for like my life cycle. But like I want like, I have bigger mentality. It was like, Punch Pedal is like way more. We have a athletic leisure brand called Ginger, which I gave you guys some stuff that we never talk about. Like we sell that in our stores. We have an online presence. We have in studio. My background's real estate. Don't you think that knowing have a good company that's a retail component is a big deal for somebody that needs retail? So it's like I have bigger plans, but like right now it's like let's stay focused and let's grow.
So if someone's listening right now, how can someone try out Punch Pedal?
So Punch Pedal, you can see us on Punch Pedal on Instagram, or Foley NYC is mine. We do have an online class. It's free.
It's streaming, so like anyone. So if someone in Wilkes-Barre or in Hanover Township can try out your class.
Yeah, Ireland, Hong Kong.
Wherever.
We have people all over the world, actually. If you have Twitch, it's even better quality. But you could go right to our website, punch-pedal.com. And if you can't make the live classes, we have on demand, which we'll give you guys 50% off. It'll be the code will be on the stacks.
Awesome.
Pretty easy, right?
Yeah, can't forget it.
Can't forget it. It'll be on the stacks. But it's not just spin, it's boxing and boot camp. The boot camp's body weight only.
All right. Punch Pedal House, Joe Foley, On the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door studio. Thanks for joining me, Joe.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you inviting me. I wish you the best of luck with this.
If you'd like to learn more about the On the Stacks podcast, be sure to search the hashtag On the Stacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on the Stacks.